Let me preface this by saying that at the time of this recording, I've only seen the first 4 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, so my opinion may be subject to changes. I live in a very humble neighborhood, and like most urban areas, it has a set of similar characteristics and functional areas like shops, playgrounds, parks, shopping malls, and you get the idea. There are stairs, ramps, roads, greeneries, insects, and of course, most importantly, the people. And like most cities, it is the people that give my city a distinct feel, vibe, aura, atmosphere, and overall sense of belonging. However, I will also say that my city gives life to its inhabitants. The playground is a joy for overworked school kids. The bench, a bonfire for the elderly to gossip about whatever old people gossip about. You get the point. This interaction between space and people reminds me of Rick Grimes' broken window theory in The Walking Dead. A broken window reflects a deeper problem, systematic disorder, because when cities rot, it's often the people who broke them, and sometimes people break because their cities failed them first. This idea that cities and people are two forces at play is what made shows like Breaking Bad, Dexter, and the original Daredevil so great. In Breaking Bad, the sun-scorched wasteland of New Mexico wasn't just a backdrop, it was a pressure cooker. Mirroring Walter's descent, in Dexter, the cheery beaches of Florida masked the sinister double life of a serial killer, and in Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen was a living character, a neighborhood with soul, grit, and bruises that bled through every frame. Those 3 examples I mentioned actually adhere to Marc Augé's theory of non-place. French anthropologist Marc Augé, who lived from 1935 to 2023, once theorized that non-places are spaces that lack history, meaning, culture, and social connection. Think of your airports, highways, and shopping malls. These are depersonalized spaces where people act only as users, never truly engaging with their surroundings. As a critic of modern capitalism, as seen in his work Supermodernity, Marc argues that people have resorted to being users that rely on the functions of such non-places, where they never truly appreciate their rich character and identity, a side effect of the fast-paced life. Thus, places that used to have meanings and symbolism not only act as functional spaces for other people to use. The residents and their actions are not just all sequences and motions interjected together on a reel. In Breaking Bad, New Mexico with its yellow filter contributes to a pressurized and heated up environment that can blow up as a result of Walter's meth trade anytime. In Dexter, the bright tropical aesthetic of beaches and the vibrant nightlife creates a false sense of paradise that contradicts Dexter's double life. And in Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen is not just a city. It's an evolving chessboard with criminal, police, and vigilante pieces all at each other's throats. Sometimes it involves casualties, and Daredevil's actions at the other side of the city directly impacts his loved ones at another side. In Season 1, when Foggy, Nelson, and Karen are catering to Mrs. Cardenas as she was being forcefully evicted out of her house by Wilson Fisk, we are emotionally invested in the lives of the average Joes, those without powers or plot armors, those that live through alien invasions, and those that deal with the crippling weight of an economy filled with supervillains and heroes. There are people like Ben Urich, who struggled to support his hospitalized wife. We care because the show breathes life into Hell's Kitchen community and inner workings. We care because the camera is in their shoes, and when we care, it makes the eventual climax and explosion even more impactful. That season showed how one man, Wilson Fisk, and his actions directly impact the lives of sympathetic side characters that we show much affection towards. This is because the city breathed life. It was not just a place, it was a character. You see, in the original show, Fogwell's gym symbolized Matt Murdock's endurance, willpower, and a lifetime of regret for getting his dad killed. On the other hand, Josie's bar, where Foggy, Nelson, Matt, and Karen often visit, acts as an integrated hub of the criminal element which crossovers to the legal professional side, while the rundown apartments represent the corrupt bureaucracy. which contradicts Wilson Fisk's luxurious penthouse, which is full of security, detail, and prestigious items, Hell's Kitchen was a very diverse character, and it was a damn good character. Or at least, that was the case for the OG Netflix run. Now, fast forward to 2025, in Daredevil Born Again, not so much. You see, I first watched the Netflix saga Daredevil show when I was about 13, and I thought the talking and transition scenes where characters drink coffee, drive, or walk from one place to another was boring. Now, rewatching the entire show to prepare myself for Season 4, as mandated by Disney, I found myself to be appreciating those somber and quiet moments a lot. Maybe it's a result of growing up, yearning for that simple life of lazing around a bit and just conversing with my friends, full of childlike serenity and passiveness. Or maybe those briefer rooms of quiet moments made the characters even more three-dimensional. Marc Augé theorized that non-places, spaces devoid of history, human connection, and organic social interaction, can lead to alienation and a lack of emotional investment. In Daredevil Born Again, Hell's Kitchen has been stripped of its identity, reduced to a sterile backdrop rather than a living, breathing character. The original Daredevil thrived because it treated Hell's Kitchen as a space of anthropological places, a setting rich with social ties, history, and emotional stakes. We felt connected to Ben Urich's struggles, Mrs. Cardena's eviction, and Fogwell's gym when Matt trains, because these locations were lived-in spaces filled with meaning and human struggle. Now, compare that to Born Again, where Hell's Kitchen feels like a non-place. The city lacks its former texture, conversations are rushed, environments feel hollow, and rather than showing us the world through the daily lives of its characters, the show resorts to heavy-handed exposition. Marc described how modern supermodernity conditions people to move through transitory, impersonal spaces, airports, malls, and highways, where they are reduced to passive consumers rather than active participants. This is exactly what happens in Born Again. The world is no longer experienced, only explained through a series of TV ads, news reports, and interviews. City residents explicitly spoon-feed us their reactions to Fisk's campaign, their indifference to corruption, and their potential disdain for vigilantes instead of showing us. The results? A series that moves too fast for its world to settle in. The Disney-style cinematography, the absence of breathing room, and the lack of organic interactions all reinforce this sense of dislocation. By removing the city's character and replacing it with corporate efficiency, Born Again transforms Hell's Kitchen into just another set.
But Captain told me the show has Matt crying and breaking bones in a bloody mess. Isn't it as dark, gritty, and mature as the original show then? The city clearly has a criminal element brimming with bad guys and life. What are you on about?
You may be right to say that, but Matt crying and getting bloody up doesn't automatically make the show gritty or mature. It's about the weight of those moments, not just the surface level violence. Here, there was a time jump, so the writers could get away with not doing the heavy lifting, and the violence here feels like shock value rather than a motive of brutality that is brewing up with every criminal encounter and corrupt cop before exploding. In the original show, every cut, every bruise, every tear felt earned because the characters were connected to a living, breathing world. It also doesn't help that the dialogue here sounds too quippy, snappy, and unnatural, with nothing being earned and characters sounding like they're just reading their motivations off a script. There is no real chemistry between Matt and his new cast. There is no tension whenever Fisk is on screen, as the writers pivoted from an intimidating mob boss like Gus Fring to someone more smooth-talking, akin to the Penguin. The characters feel like husks of their former glory. There are no controversial decisions to explore religion and faith unconventionally, only a glimpse of it via a lazily phoned-in mass. Everything is sterile, safe, and functional for consumption, to maximize on profits. As the people neglect their city's culture and heritage to exploit its functions, I notice an analogy and a similarity with how Disney treats one of its most characters in Daredevil's mythos, the city of Hell's Kitchen. By neglecting the city to maximize on the action, quippy dialogue. So, yes, Daredevil did Born Again as the Save Daredevil campaign worked, but at what cost? Thank you for watching this short essay. Do let me know in the comments how you felt about Daredevil Born Again so far, and I will see you next time. Captain Homie out.